Alright, so if you guys are just tuning in, we had to pull our last stream down because the court live streaming system showed 5 jurors in the Theo Edgecomb trial, and for safety issues for them, as well as ethics, moral, and legal issues for us, we pulled that video. And then restarted a new stream. So what I'll be doing, I'm going to end up having to download that video and we'll have to edit that section of showing jurors. We'll have to edit that out and then re-upload the rest of the video so you guys can watch what happened. So yeah, if you're just tuning in, that's what's going on. That's what happened, and we had to restart this stream. So they got rid of the entire 50-person panel that they had just started, having jurors kind of introduce themselves, whatever. Voir dire did not start yet, and they had all 50 jurors introduce themselves, some background info on them, and then there was a challenge regarding the diversity of the jurors, and then they ended up breaking for lunch. Coming back from lunch, there was both sides, the defense and the DA, were notified that jurors were shown on the court live stream system. They received a phone call, and Judge Borowski ended up removing all 50 jurors for safety reasons. And I guess there's a whole bunch of other jurors downstairs. So they weren't rescheduling the day, according to Borowski. They were going to bring up a brand new panel of jurors. And that's where we're at now. So judge is back on the bench.
Peter Edgecomb appeared by attorney Nika Ahmad.
Attorney Diaby Lamar, on behalf of Theodore Edgecomb.
All right, it's approximately 3:20. I have a new jury panel or a new pool of 50. I'm going to bring them in, or my bailiffs bring them in. given the problems we have with the last panel, the voir dire is going to be conducted in the same fashion. However, the camera is going to stay on me, nobody else, not the lawyers, not the jurors, not anybody walking around the court. Anyone object to that?
No.
Fine, let's bring the panel in. Everybody can remain seated.
Number 16, you're gonna be on numbers there. 17 in the middle over here. 18, you're gonna be right here. Number 19, you're gonna be on the phone. 20. Follow me?
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Judge Borowski. I'm one of the many, many judges here in Milwaukee County. You're here for a voir dire, which is the process of selecting a jury. Before we get started, I want to thank all of you for being here for jury selection and potentially jury service. I'm going to, in a minute, I'm going to introduce the case to you. This is a criminal case. This is a courtroom that hears criminal matters. The process of jury selection is designed to pick a jury of ultimately 12, though I'm going to keep 14 jurors. They can hear the case, listen to the evidence, deliberate, and eventually reach a fair and just verdict in this matter. Some of this we may touch on in a minute, but I expect this case to last the end of the week. It may, probably will run over to Monday, based on what I know from the lawyers and the number of witnesses in this matter. I'm going to start off by reading you the charge in this case. I'm going to give you some basic information. I'm going to ask both sides to introduce themselves, the state and the defense. After they introduce themselves, they will list witnesses that might be called during this case. They're going to list a number of witnesses. I'm sure they will not call all the people that they mentioned. But before we get to all that, I need you to all stand, please, so you can be sworn in as the panel in this case. You can stand and raise your right hand, please. All of you are here in the case. State of Wisconsin versus Theodore Edgecomb. In this case, there's one count, one allegation. The defendant's charged with first-degree intentional homicide, use of a dangerous weapon. It's alleged that on or about September 22nd of 2020 at 1750 North Fulton Street in Milwaukee County, the defendant, Mr. Edgecomb, did cause the death of Jason Clearman, another human being, with the intent to kill that person, contrary to the Wisconsin statutes. To this charge, the defendant has pled not guilty, and the state has the burden of proof. Having heard just the name of the case and the allegation, the charge in this matter, and does anybody here know anything about this case? And if you do, I see a couple of hands. You can raise your hand, and then I'm going to possibly follow up with you, or I may have the lawyers follow up a bit later. All right, so let me see. There's somebody in the jury box. What's your juror number, ma'am? Say it again. 46. All right, was there anybody else in the jury box? In the front? 46, 40, ma'am. 49. All right, sir, in the black. Juror 14, is that correct? All right. There's one or two other hands in the back. Way in the back. 25. And sir in the back by the door. 27. All right, I don't see any hands to the right. I will probably let the lawyers follow up with the 6 of you who know something or have heard something about this case. But for right now, I just want you to just sort of respond, nod your head or shake your head. Is it fair to say that you've either heard something about this case or seen something on TV or in the media? Is that fair? All right. All 6 of the jurors indicated that, yes, that's where or how they know something about this case. In a minute, I'm going to have both sides introduce themselves and witnesses that they may potentially call in this case. After they do that, I'm going to ask each of the 50 of you, one at a time, to answer the questions on the board. I think they're over there. They were on the board to my right. Are they still there? Okay. They're also on the podium in the middle of the room. I don't have them memorized, but basically we would ask that you tell us your juror number, tell us where you live. I don't want an exact address or an exact street, but for instance, you live on the north side, or you live in Bayview or Fox Point, or wherever you live in the county. Next is basically your occupation for yourself or your spouse. Have you served on a jury before? If you have served on a jury before, did you reach a verdict? And were you the foreperson? I think hobbies is on there. And then the last thing that I'm not sure is on there, but if you could answer it for myself and the parties, I would appreciate it, is do you directly or your family have any close contacts with, meaning close friends or family members, police officers, bailiffs, sheriff's deputies, lawyers, DAs, anything along those lines? Those are the questions that I'm going to ask each of you to answer. It's 3:30 right now. I appreciate all of you being here. As I said a minute ago, we're probably not going to finish voir dire today and seat the 14 jurors. But if it doesn't happen today, that'll be finished and completed tomorrow morning. At this point in time, I'm going to ask both sides, starting with the state, to introduce themselves and potential witnesses. The state in particular is going to read off many witnesses, maybe 30 or more. They probably, in fact, in my many years on the bench, never has the state called every witness that they name, but please pay attention to the names, because whether they're lay witnesses or officers or other individuals, if they're not called to testify, they may eventually be mentioned by a witness or mentioned by someone in court. So please pay attention. The state can proceed. Mr. Hubner.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me? Okay, I see everybody's nodding their head yes. My name is Grant Hubner. I'm an assistant district attorney with the Milwaukee County DA's office. Seated to my left is one of the detectives in this case. Now, I'm going to read to you a number of names. Not all of them are going to be tested, or not all of them are going to testify. In fact, some of them may simply just be mentioned.
Probably 30 or 40 names. Again, I'm sure they're not all going to be called. But does anybody here recognize any of those names or familiar with any of those names? It might be someone you work with or a name you recognize from school or work or your social life. All right, I'm not seeing any hands. If, while we're doing voir dire, over the next couple hours and maybe an hour or two tomorrow morning, if you think of a name or think of someone you know, please tell me and tell the parties as voir dire is going forward. I'm sure the lawyers agree with me that we want you to be more forthcoming rather than less. After you answer the basic questions, both sides will have an opportunity to ask follow-up questions. The questions from the state and the defense are not designed to pry into your personal lives. They're not designed to be overly intrusive, but they're designed to make sure that we can seat a fair and impartial panel who can, again, listen to the evidence, view the evidence, listen to the testimony over the course of the next number of days, and then deliberate to reach a fair and just verdict. This time I'll ask the defense to proceed and introduce themselves. Counsel.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Attorney Edgecomb, and along with Attorney Ivory Lamar, we represent Mr. Edgecomb, and we're proud to stand with him today. Also, I just wanted to thank all of you. I'm guessing you guys have all been here since this morning. That is a long day, and on top of that, you're wearing these masks. This is going to be a long week. We just want to thank you in advance. We do appreciate you. Wiley. And as far as the witnesses that we plan on calling in this case,
At this time, what I'm going to ask everybody to do, starting with juror number 1, is to, and as you can imagine, I mean, obviously all of you have been paying attention. Unfortunately, we've all been dealing with the pandemic for almost 2 years and masks and all kinds of rules. Some of them entirely reasonable, others entirely annoying from my standpoint. But in any event, that's why we have you in this large room, and that's why we're going to ask each of you one at a time, starting with juror number 1, to go to the podium, which is in the middle of the room, answer the questions that are on the board, and they're on the podium. If you can answer those questions, we'll start with juror number 1, go through juror 50, and then we'll see where we stand in terms of time to ask follow-up questions from either side. So juror number 1, I think, is over there. Ma'am.
I am juror number 1. I live in Wauwatosa. I am married, no children. I work in financial services. My husband works in human resources. I was a juror about 5 years ago for a civil case. It did come to a verdict, and I was not the foreperson. And my hobbies include reading.
Thanks, ma'am. Juror number 2. And I think I said this earlier, but if I didn't, you can just use your juror number. It makes it easier for my court reporter, easier for the lawyers to keep track. I don't want to be impersonal, but juror 2.
I am juror number 2. I'm single, 1 child, 8 years old. I live in West Dallas. I'm a customer service specialist and no jury experience, and I enjoy shopping.
I enjoy having my wife shop for me. We all have our hobbies. Thanks, ma'am. Juror 3.
Hello, I'm juror number 3. I am married. My husband was the fire chief at the Milwaukee County Airport. He is retired. I'm also a retired registered nurse. I have 2 children. I live at the tip of Menominee Falls and Milwaukee. Like I said, I'm retired. I've not had jury experience at all.
And you said, ma'am, your husband, did he work for the county as a firefighter?
Yes, he was a Milwaukee County fire chief at the airport.
Great. Any hobbies now that you're retired?
Yes, I like walking around and playing with my grandchildren, those type of things, entertaining them.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Juror 4.
Good afternoon. I am juror number 4. I am single. I have no children. I am a bookkeeper for Milwaukee Public Schools. I do have prior juror experience, civil. A verdict was reached. I was not the foreperson. And my hobbies include styling hair.
Thanks, ma'am. Juror 5.
Juror number 5, married, 3 kids. I've never been in jury. I've been cooking. Currently not working.
Before you leave, ma'am, when you are working or when you were last working, can you just tell the attorneys and I what your general field is or what area you work in?
I was a dental hygienist.
Thanks. Juror 6.
Good afternoon. I'm juror number 6. I'm married, no children. I kind of live on the tip between Menominee Falls and Milwaukee. I'm a hospice aide. No prior jury experience, and my hobbies are watching crime shows, believe it or not. So,
Well, this will not be like a crime show for the most part.
oh, I know.
All right. First of all, it won't be over in 45 minutes.
That's true.
There is one way that this is the same. You want to guess the one way this is the same, ma'am?
Tell me.
Just like on TV, the judges are brilliant.
Well, that's always. Thank you.
Thank you. Juror 7.
Juror number 7. I live in Wauwatosa. I'm single, no children. I am a trainer assistant. No prior jury experience, and my hobbies are running. That's it.
Thanks. Juror 8.
I'm juror 8. I live in the south side of Milwaukee. I'm divorced. I have 2 children, 28 and 25. General merchandise at Target. My prior experience was a civil case, reached a verdict, and I was not a foreperson. My hobbies are baking.
Thank you. Juror 9, I believe.
Juror number 9, I'm divorced. I have 2 children, 29 and 16. I live in Franklin. I'm an outpatient medical coder. I've served on 2 trials, criminal, and we did not reach a verdict. And for hobbies, I like spending time with my family and pinball.
So you were on 2 criminal trials, is that right?
Yes,
And on neither one did you reach a verdict?
neither one.
It's unusual, but thank you. Juror 10.
Juror 10, I'm single, no kids. I live in Greenfield. I'm a traffic control laborer. I have jury experience. It's a criminal case. We reached the verdict, and I love the four-person, and I like golf and going to races.
What kind of races?
IndyCar up in Road America.
I've been there the last couple of years. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Juror 11.
Hi, I'm number 11. I live in Wauwatosa. I'm married. I have 3 kids, 3 to 6. I'm a teacher. My husband is also in education. I have no prior jury experience, and I like to read and hike.
Thank you. Juror 12.
Good afternoon. I'm number 12. I am single. I have no children. I live on the Lower East Side in Milwaukee. I am in the food and beverage industry, and I'm also a part-time master's student. I have no prior jury experience, and my hobbies include crocheting and reading.
Do you mind saying where you go to school?
I'm doing an online program through UC Davis.
Interesting. Thank you. Juror 13.
I'm number 13. I am single. I have 1 newborn baby at home. I live on the super west edge of West Dallas by New Berlin. I'm a project manager for an electrical contractor. I have no prior jury experience, and I like to renovate homes, investment properties, stuff like that.
Great. Thanks. Juror 14.
Juror 14, I'm married, no children, live in Fox Point. I'm a trader. My wife is in software sales. I have not had prior jury experience. And I like disc golfing and Brewers games.
When you say trader, like stocks, bonds,
Foreign exchange.
thanks. And you were you 13 or 14? 14, thanks. Next, juror 15.
Okay, I am juror number 15. I live over in West Milwaukee. I am married with no kids. I am a social worker and a substance abuse counselor. My wife is a kindergarten teacher. I was on a jury about 12 years ago for criminal case, reached a verdict. I was not the fourth person, and for hobbies, I enjoy video games and movies.
Thank you. Juror 16.
16, wishing I was again. Marital status, married. I have 4 young men. Their ages range from 27 to 32. I live in Brown Deer. I am a semi-retired construction worker. Pushing on 71, so I've kind of been through this a number of times already. Never sat on a jury. My hobbies include hunting, fishing, supporting my boys in their auto racing program.
Sounds interesting. Thank you, sir. Juror 17.
Hi, I'm juror 17. I am married. I have 2 children of my own in their 30s and 2 relatively new stepchildren who are teenagers. I live near UWM. Both my husband and I are retired. I was a university professor at Marquette. My husband was a graphic designer. I have never served on a jury, and my hobbies are reading, gardening, and quilting.
And when you were a professor, Marquette, do you mind saying what area you taught in?
Yeah, I taught advertising.
Great, thank you. Next is 18, I think, yep.
I'm juror number 18. I'm single. I don't have any children. I live in the Brown Deer area. I work as a caregiver. I have no prior jury experience, and I like to bowl. That's happy.
Thanks. Juror 19.
I am number 19. I'm single, no children. I live on the near south side of Milwaukee. I'm a retired electrical maintenance man. Been on jury duty twice, once let go for cause and once on a criminal case where we reached a verdict. I was not the foreperson. My hobbies are walking my dogs and exercising so I don't die early, and helping alcoholics achieve sobriety.
Thank you. Juror 21. Oh, that was 21? Oh, okay, 20. I was promised no math. If I was smart, I would have gone to like, med school where there was math there. So I stuck to law school. Go ahead.
I'm juror 20. I live in Greenfield. I'm single, no children. I work in engineering. I have no prior jury experience. Hobbies are hanging out with friends, music and playing games. And my grandfather was a retired Milwaukee County Sheriff, and my stepbrother is currently a Milwaukee County police officer.
Thank you. Juror 21.
I am juror number 21. I am married, no kids. I live in Cudahy. I am an ecologist at a nature center. My wife works in communications. I have no prior jury experience, and my hobbies are hiking and hanging out with my dogs.
Thanks. Juror 22.
I am juror number 22. I'm married. I have 3 children, ages 17, 7, and 6. I live on the south side of Milwaukee. I am a deli clerk, and my husband does wiring for boats. I have no prior jury experience, and my hobbies are cooking Puerto Rican food.
Thank you. Juror 23.
I'm juror 23. I'm married. I have 2 children, 10 and 12. I live in Wauwatosa. I'm an attorney. My husband's an attorney. I have no prior jury experience. Hobbies include gardening and being with my family. My brother is a detective on the Chicago Police Department.
And in terms of your practice and your husband, do you mind saying what kind of law you do? Do you do any criminal law?
No, I do insurance defense and transportation, and my husband also does insurance defense.
Thank you. 24.
I am juror 24. I am single. I have 3 children under 12. Live in the Brown Deer area. I work in manufacturing as an injection mold technician. No prior jury experience, and my hobbies include making clothes and cooking.
Thanks. 25.
I'm juror 25. I'm single, no children. I live in Brewers Hill. I'm a director of membership for an annuities association. I have no previous jury experience, and I enjoy gardening and snowshoeing.
What was your occupation again?
Director of membership for an annuities association.
Thank you. 26, I believe.
I'm juror 26. I'm not married. I don't have any kids. I live in West Dallas, and I work in food service at St. Luke's. I don't have any prior jury experience, and I like listening to music.
Any contacts with police, law enforcement?
No.
Thanks. Next is 27.
I am juror number 27. I am single. I have a 10-month-old daughter. I live in the Fairview neighborhood. I work in property management. I do not have any prior jury experiences, and my hobbies include playing with my daughter, playing music, and watching sports.
Great, thank you. 28.
Juror 28, I'm single with no children. I live in Wauwatosa. I'm a physician. I have no jury experience. However, I've been in a couple cases as a witness. I have no time for hobbies.
What kind of medicine do you practice, sir?
I'm a neuroendovascular surgeon.
A neurovascular surgeon?
Neuroendovascular surgeon.
Thank you. 29.
I'm Jared, 29. I am married, I have 2 children, 15, 19. I live in Franklin, retired military, current firefighter. I work at St. Luke's in Hyperbaric, and I also teach fire and EMS at MATC. I have not been selected for a jury, and my hobbies are rehabbing my shoulder that I keep tearing.
It's not the most interesting hobby I've ever heard, but. Number 30.
I am juror number 30. I live in South Milwaukee. I'm single, no kids. I'm a supervisor at the casino. I have no prior experience, and I like to read and bake and watch our home teams.
Thank you, ma'am. 31.
31, divorced, 2 children, 35, 38. I live in Shorewood. I'm a retired school teacher. I have no prior jury experience. My hobbies are mahjong, dancing, theater, cooking.
Great. Thank you, ma'am. And now, going over here, 32, correct?
I'm juror 32. I live in Whitefish Bay. I'm married. I have 3 children, ages 21, 19, and 12. I am a legal recruiter, which is a headhunter. Before that, I was a litigator, civil, for 20 years. My wife is a lawyer. She does insurance coverage work. I have never been on a jury before. My hobbies are watching television and golf.
Great. Thank you. 33.
Juror number 33. I live on the east side. I'm single with no kids. Occupation is a project manager in retail. I'm also a part-time MBA student. I do have some prior jury experience. I was on one jury. It was a criminal case, and we did come to a verdict. I was not the poor person, and hobbies are travel and golf.
Thank you. 34.
Juror number 34. I live in a cutoff of Glendale and Milwaukee. I'm single with no children. I'm an IT coordinator. I have done prior jury experience. I was the 4th person for the grand jury. And my hobbies include cooking and watching TV.
Thank you, ma'am. 35.
I'm juror 35. I live in Easttown. I'm single, no children. I'm a software engineer. I have been on a jury about 7 years ago in a criminal case. We reached a verdict. I was not the poor person, and hobbies are circuit racing and snowboarding.
Great. Thank you, sir. Next, I'm moving over here. Sorry about all the moving around, but it's COVID related. In the old days, we had a microphone we could pass back and forth, but You're 36, correct, ma'am?
Yep, I am 36. I live in Oak Creek. I have 4 kids. Youngest is 11, oldest is 20. I'm self-employed. I was on a civil case before there was a verdict. I was not the poor person. And hobbies, well, it's very much take care of the house and the kids, so that's about it.
I don't think cleaning a house is a hobby.
It has to be.
If it is, I spent a very long weekend on that hobby. Do you mind saying, ma'am, you said you're self-employed, just sort of what area or what kind of thing you do, please?
I clean homes.
Thank you. 37.
Hi, I'm 37. I live in Oak Creek. I am not married. I have no children. I am an occupational therapist. I've never been on a jury before, and my hobbies include hanging out with my dog and traveling. And I do know Dakota Krenz. She's a social worker for the city of Milwaukee, but I don't know if she can come up in this case at all.
What kind of dog do you have?
A husky Australian Shepherd puppy. A lot of energy.
I have a crazy black lab who's 18 months. Thanks, ma'am. All right, now I'm losing track. You're Thank you. And what number are we on? I'm losing track. 38. Farms at 38. All right. Coming to a podium near you is juror 38.
I'm 38. I live in Glendale and I'm married. I have one child who's an 18-month-old girl. I was a marketing strategist, but just recently switched to education. So I'm working on my master's from home. My husband is a digital strategist and communications expert for healthcare, and I have no prior jury experience.
Any contacts with police, law enforcement?
None. I have an interest, I'm kind of a bookworm, and I like to swim laps.
Thank you. 39.
I'm 39. I live on the east side. I'm single, no kids. I'm a project manager. Never had any interaction with the jury, and I run a lot.
Did you say you run?
Mhm.
Great, thank you. Next is juror 41, right? No, 40.
I am jury 40. I live on the south side of Milwaukee. I'm single. I have 2 adult children. I work in logistics. I was on a prior jury about 20 years ago. We did reach a verdict, but I was not the foreperson. I like to fish and bowl.
Thank you. 41.
I'm juror 41. I live in Greenfield. I am married. I am a cardiac tech at St. Luke's. I have 2 children. My husband is disabled. I've never been on a jury. I like to read and do gardening. My father is a retired Milwaukee police officer, and my father-in-law is a retired sheriff. And my godfather is a retired detective.
Thanks, ma'am. Juror 42.
I'm number 42. I live in West Alice. I am engaged. No children. No children. I work as a patient service representative in urgent care. And I've never been on a jury before. And I like to read.
What was the last part?
My hobby is I like to read.
Thanks, ma'am. What number are you? All right, 43.
I'm number 43. I live in the south side of Milwaukee. I'm not married. I have a girlfriend. No children. I help run a painting business, exterior and interior, and no prior jury experience. And my hobby is investing in cryptocurrency and researching it.
So after this is over, can you explain cryptocurrency to me?
Yeah, sure.
Good. Thank you. 44.
I'm Juror 44. I live in the city of Milwaukee in the Bayview neighborhood. I am single. I have no children. I am an audiologist, so I test hearing and work with hearing aids. And no prior jury experience. And my hobbies are, I like to ride my bike by the lake. That's it.
Great. Thanks, ma'am. Juror 45, I believe.
Juror number 45. I live in Shorewood. I'm single, no children, and I currently attend the University of Wisconsin-Madison. No prior jury experience. My hobbies are reading and drawing.
You said you attend UW-Madison?
Yeah.
Do you mind saying what you're majoring in?
Conservation biology and studio art.
Biology and art?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. 46.
I'm juror number 46. I live in Oak Creek. I'm divorced. I have 2 adult children. I am a retail sales merchandiser, and I've been on the jury, called for jury. This is my 4th time, served on 2. There was a verdict on both. I was the foreman on the children's court, and I like to bake and play with the grandchildren.
Any contacts with police, law enforcement?
I do have a retired uncle from St. Francis Police Department.
And you said you're on 2 jury trials. One was children's. What was the other case?
I think it was civil. I don't really remember.
Thanks, ma'am. Juror 47.
Juror number 47. I live in Oak Creek. I'm married, no children. I'm in social work and no prior jury experience, and I enjoy exercising.
Say that again, was last thing?
I enjoy exercising.
This is an old one, I've used it before, but I enjoy avoiding exercise. Thanks, ma'am. Next is juror 48.
I'm jury number 48. I stay in the city of Milwaukee. I have one child, 4 grandchildren, and 5 great-great-children. I'm retired.
What did you do before you retired, ma'am?
I work at Craft Pizza.
Say Kraft Pizza?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Any contact with law enforcement, police, anything like that?
No.
Okay. Thanks, ma'am. Juror 49.
Juror number 49. Married, 2 kids, 4 grandkids. I live in West Dallas. I'm retired. Before that, I took care of both my parents. No prior experience with jury. And my hobbies are sports, because my husband always has it on.
I know how that is. In any sport in particular?
Go Packers. And my granddaughter plays basketball.
Great. I would agree with the Packers sentiment, though I have to say I'm really worried about that 49ers game. That's a very bad matchup for the Packers. Thanks, ma'am. Juror 50.
I'm number 50. Live on the west side of Milwaukee. I am married with 2 children, 3 and a newborn. I am a teacher in MPS. My wife is basically a stay-at-home mom at this point. I have no prior jury experience, and I love to play, watch, coach sports.
Great. Thank you, sir. All right, I see a hand. Is there, first of all, ma'am, what's your juror number? 17.
I negated to tell you connections to police. No one before me had done that, so it was an oversight. I have a brother who is a retired MPD officer who I'm estranged from. I have a nephew who I'm extremely close to, who is a hostage negotiator in Schaumburg.
Interesting. Thank you. What juror 17 did is a good opening for me to say that the lawyers on both sides and I myself would prefer that you're as forthcoming as possible. So you're going to ask, strike that. You're going to hear questions from both sides. I'll let the state start with their questions in a minute or two. And they're going to ask, I'm sure, some questions of all 50 of you. They'll ask probably some direct follow-up questions of certain jurors. Neither side is trying to pry into your personal life or make you uncomfortable. The goal, again, is to see the fair and impartial jury. I'm going to carry 14, but 12 will ultimately deliberate. People that can be fair and impartial, listen to the evidence, the testimony, view any exhibits or documents, put it all together, and deliberate with your fellow jurors. So neither side nor I am intending or even accidentally acting to ask anything that pries too much. But with that, I'll let the state start. Usually I'll let both sides, first the state, then the defense, At the end of their questions, I may or may not have a couple of follow-up questions myself, but I basically let the lawyers do the questioning at this stage. It's about 4:20. We will go until close to 5 o'clock. I doubt highly that we'll finish, but we'll make as much progress as possible. Mr. Hubner.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can everyone hear me? Okay, I see everybody's raising their hands, getting thumbs up. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. If for whatever reason I start to trail off or you can't hear me, just raise your hand. Quite frankly, if you're on this jury, I don't think that'll be a problem hearing me. I can be quite loud, but if you give me a chance, I'll tire myself out like a small child and come back down to a reasonable volume. Before I go on to my questions, ladies and gentlemen, there's a few things that I'd like to talk to you about. The first is, I know the courts thank you. I know defense's counsel is going to thank you. I'm going to take my chance right now to thank you. This right here is what makes our system the best in the world. People taking time out of their lives to be here. I know you were told you had to be here, but you are here. Taking time to be a part of this system, to make certain that the state proves its case beyond a reasonable doubt. That is what this is about. So thank you, and thank you for being here. Additionally, ladies and gentlemen, either myself or defense counsels, their team, we may ask you some questions. We're not trying to embarrass you. We're not trying to pry or to get into anything that embarrasses you. If there's something that you would prefer to talk to us outside the presence of the rest of the jury, let us know and we'll see what we can do. Additionally, we may, for some of you, or depending on some answers, we may ask you some questions about an experience or a belief or an opinion. We're not in any way trying to put you on the spot. We're not in any way trying to say that there's something wrong with what you said. You may be a great juror for another case. You just may not be good for this case. Both sides, whether or not it's me or them, we're just trying to make certain we get a fair jury. So if we're asking your questions, we're not in any way trying to offend you. Please take no offense. Just understand we're trying to make certain that we're getting to a fair jury. The last thing, ladies and gentlemen, is if you are chosen to be on this jury, you may see the detective or myself or someone else, but maybe going to the phone. Now, look, the detective, he's not live tweeting the trial, right? He's not, updating his Facebook post with, oh, judge asked a great question. Ladies and gentlemen, none of the witnesses are allowed to be in this courtroom, right? Everybody has to be outside. We are going to try to use your time efficiently. So all we're attempting to do, the sides, when you see us on anything, is just making certain that the next things are ready to go. You know what? Pay it no mind. If it draws your attention, pay no mind. Pay your attention to the only thing that matters. We won't be in this courtroom, we'll be in a different one. But the only thing that matters is the person behind the court reporter, because that's where the witness will be. And that's where the evidence is going to come in through, okay? Now, I have some questions for a number of you. Some of them are general, and then I actually have some follow-up questions based on some of the things that the court has already asked. To begin with, ladies and gentlemen, could you please raise your hand if you have common sense? Okay, I see everybody's got their hands up. Okay, you can put your hands down. And that's a question that sometimes people laugh and that they kind of look like, really? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're the judge, if you're the jury on this case, you'll be the judge of the facts. The judge is the judge of the law, but you're the judge of the facts. Your job is to listen to what witnesses say, see if it makes sense. Take that and apply it and compare it to what other people say and see if that makes sense. You're to literally use your everyday experiences and common sense in order to evaluate all the evidence here. So while it sounds like a silly question, in many ways, it's one of the more important questions we're going to ask. Does anyone have a problem using their common sense in evaluating what people say? Please raise your hand. Okay, I see no hands. Now, the court has already asked you, do you know the parties, myself, the defense team, any of the officers or the citizen witnesses that we've read out to you? Nobody stated anything to us, which is great. I want to know, is there anyone on this jury panel that knows anyone else on this same jury panel? If you could please raise your hand. Okay. You think you might, okay. So ma'am, if we could just get you to go over to the microphone, if that's okay? I'm sorry. Everybody's gonna get their steps in today. I'm very sorry, ma'am. First of all, your jury number?
34.
34. And who do you think you know?
The supervisor that worked at the casino.
Okay. And so if I'm not mistaken, is that juror number 30? Juror number 30 behind you to the, if you want.
Was in the vault, something like, 2 years ago?
Okay. So juror number 34, you believe you know juror number 30?
I believe I do.
Okay. All right. Sometimes that happens. Let me just put it to you this way. Let's say you both are on a jury.
Okay.
You both kind of know each other. You realize whether or not you know each other or don't know each other, liked each other, didn't like each other, whatever happened in the past, all that matters is whether or not I prove my case beyond a reasonable doubt. So just because you know her, you're not going to just go along with what she says, right?
Right.
Okay. The reverse is true, right? Just if you didn't like her, you're not just going to do the opposite of whatever she says?
No.
Okay. And I've had a jury panel with a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law on a jury once, and I don't think they liked each other. But the reality of where we're going with this is you'll base your decision on the evidence and the witnesses, right?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, juror number 34.
You're welcome.
Juror number 30, if I could get you to come on up. And now that we've known this potential connection between you and juror 34, same question. You're not going to base your verdict on juror number 34, are you?
No.
Base it only on the evidence, hold me to my burden, same thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, juror number 30. Anyone else that may have just found someone from their life that they had not seen in a while? Okay, I see no other hands. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you've been read the charges by the court. It's first-degree intentional homicide. That means you are going to be hearing about someone's life being taken. You're going to hear about the last moments of someone's life. You're going to hear about an autopsy. You're going to see a few photos. Not too many. We're not going to try to make it gory, but a few photos related to this homicide. I understand people do not want to necessarily have that image or that knowledge in their minds. I'm going beyond that. Not just that you'd prefer not to listen about someone getting killed. But is there someone here that the simple fact that we're talking about a homicide, that simple fact would cause you to be biased towards one side or the other? Just the simple fact that we're talking about the loss of a life would prevent you from being fair. Is there anybody that has that sort of feeling? Not just that you prefer not to talk about, listen to a homicide, but that the simple fact that someone has died would cause you to be unfair. Anybody have that sort of feeling? Okay, I see no hands. You're also going to hear, ladies and gentlemen, that this case involves a firearm. It's going to involve the use of a firearm. Now, people have a lot of opinions about firearms. Some people hate them. I wish they were never invented. I wish nobody ever had a gun. If I hear someone had a gun, I'm immediately, don't care if they had a permit or not, it doesn't matter. The simple fact that they had a gun is going to cause me to be prejudiced against them. On the other hand, there are people that feel that anybody should be able to have a gun. And if you've had a gun and you use it, you know what? That's what happens. And people always use their guns correctly. Is there anybody that has kind of the feelings or some sort of belief on either side of the spectrum, either that no one should ever have a gun or that there should never be anything that prevents a person from having a firearm? Anybody have any one of those feelings? Please raise your hand. Okay, I see no hands. Has anyone ever had to testify in court before? Please raise your hand. As a witness. Okay, I see a few hands, a couple hands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go row by row numerically because it's the easiest way for the court reporter. So I'm going to start off in the front, kind of go back, and then loop back around and come away this way. So if I'm not mistaken, is it juror number 7? 6. You're right, that is 6. I apologize. Juror number 6, can I get you to the microphone? Is it okay if I ask you questions about this?
Sure.
How long ago was it?
2022, so like 2017.
2017? Okay. It's about
almost
5 years ago.
Mhm.
Okay. And were you a witness? Were you a victim?
A witness.
You were a witness. And was it a criminal or a civil case?
It was like a child case, like a child abuse kind of case.
Okay.
That I was a witness to, like it was my niece.
It was
kinda
your
thing.
niece?
Yeah.
Okay. And seeing a child abuse, was someone charged with child abuse?
Yeah.
Okay. And were you called by the defense or by the state?
State.
The state. Okay. Now, is there anything about that experience? You're dealing with police officers, the prosecutor, the judge, the defense team. Anything about that you think would affect you in potentially listening to testimony?
No.
Obviously, your experience, your life, it's happened, but put anything that happened aside, base your decision only on the evidence. Could you do that?
Definitely.
Thank you very much, juror number 6. I believe I saw another hand. Yes, we'll go. Yes, juror, if you could come on up. And I'm not even going to be close to the right number.
17.
17. How long? Can I ask you questions about it?
Sure.
How was it, criminal or civil?
Civil.
Civil. Okay. How many years ago?
About 30.
Anything about that you think would affect you in listening to testimony?
No, it was copyright infringement.
Wow. I don't even. That sounds very complicated and probably at the edge of your seat, right?
It was interesting.
Yes, ma'am. Probably too smart for me. Thank you very much, juror number 17. I believe I saw 2 hands in the back. Is it juror number 29 and 30, 20 or 27? 28. Got close. Thank you. You've already answered this question a couple times. You said I believe you had previously stated you had been a witness before. Is that correct?
I have been twice.
And is that as an expert witness as a surgeon?
Actually, both of them were, but they were different. One was a malpractice case, and I was called by the state and by the lawyers, because, state defense physicians. The other one, I was a witness in a case that involved one of my patients who died, but his wife wanted compensation from the company. And I was a witness from that side.
Anything about that you think would affect you in listening to this case?
Absolutely not.
Thank you very much, juror number 28. And then juror number 29. Is it okay if I ask you questions about this?
Yes.
What kind of case was it? Civil or criminal?
Both.
Both. So you testified twice?
Correct.
Let's talk about the criminal case first. How long ago was that?
A little over 20 years.
What kind of case was it?
Battery.
And were you, how were you a witness? Were you the victim? Were you a witness? Were you involved in the case? I'm sorry?
Defendant.
You're the defendant. Okay. And was that in Milwaukee County?
No.
Okay. Anything about that experience in your role there with either the prosecutor, the DA, the judge, the defense attorneys, anything about that you think would affect you in listening to this case?
No.
Okay. You stated another time you testified in a civil case.
It
How long?
was with the same case.
Oh, okay.
They came back after me.
Civilly?
Yes.
Okay. And so you testified basically to the same facts?
Correct.
Okay. Anything about that experience you think would affect you in any way? Okay. And that was a misdemeanor battery case?
Correct.
Okay. And again, I'm not meaning to pry in any way, but can I ask you just one more question about that?
Yes.
Was self-defense at all an issue in your case?
It was.
Okay. Thank you very much, juror number 29. I believe, is there anyone else in this? Yes, sir. Juror number 35. Yes, sir. If you could go on up. Is it okay if I ask you about this, sir?
Oh, yes.
Was it a civil or criminal case?
Civil case.
Civil case. And about how long ago?
Like over a decade ago. Probably.
Over a decade?
Yeah, I was in a car accident when I was like 16, and they sued me and the insurance company.
Anything about that experience with the attorneys, the judge, anything you think would affect you in listening to this case? Okay, put it aside, base your decision only on the evidence. Thank you very much, juror number 35. And I thought I saw, yes, ma'am, if I could ask you to come on down. Is it okay if I ask you questions about this?
Yes.
Was it civil or criminal?
Criminal?
And in what role? Were you a witness, a victim?
Witness.
Involved? You're a witness. Okay, what kind of case was it?
Well, rape, attempted rape, but rape, there was a serial rapist, and then there was attempted rape, and I was a witness to that.
First of all, I'm so sorry to bring this up, but how long ago was it?
Long time ago, 30 years ago, when I was living in Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay,
It's
so
not
not in Milwaukee?
No.
Okay. Is there anything about that experience, dealing with the defense attorneys, the judge, the prosecutor, the cops, anything you think would affect you in listening to this case?
No.
Keep that aside, base your decision only on the facts and evidence in this case?
Of course.
Thank you very much, ma'am. What, 44? Did I see one more hand? Yes, sir, if you can come on up. I'm sorry, I missed you. I apologize about that, sir. Oh, well, then it wasn't my fault.
Sometimes, just hearing this brings back, memories of things that have happened in your past. So,
yes, sir. What's your
there
jury
was
number?
a period, I'll try to capsulize this real quick, but I was.
Sir, what's your jury number?
16.
16. Thank you very much, sir.
There was an investigation that was going on in the disappearance and the murder of a young female. And my brother at that time was training with the Waukesha Sheriff's Department and was part of the team, the search team that found her body. This happened back in the 70s. And because there were reports of people being seen on a motorcycle in the area, and I was riding on a red motorcycle, and my brother was the one who found her body. There were a couple detectives that actually flew out to Colorado to interview me out there. And as far as I know, it could still be a cold case. I don't know if it happened, but after that, my involvement in the investigation seemed to have gone away.
So there wasn't actually a court case where you testified?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Just that I was investigated for it.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Is there anything about that experience you think would affect you in listening to this case? Okay, thank you. Now, Is there anyone here, either themselves or a family member or a close personal friend? And when I'm referring to a close personal friend, I'm not referring to, the person who lives down the hall from you that maybe you say hi to every other day, or the person who lives in this, who works in the cubicle next to you. I'm referring to the sort of close personal friend that when they've had something happen to them, it's affected the way you view the world. When they've had something good, you're happy. When something bad has happened to them, it has affected you and you feel sad. That sort of close personal friend that's like family. So, is there anyone here, either themselves or a family member or a close personal friend, has ever been the victim of a homicide or a shooting or a firearm-related offense? If you could please raise your hand. Okay, I do see a number of hands, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go again row by row. So I want to start in the first row. I see one hand is juror number 7. Is that correct? 6. I'm going to get that right at some point. Ma'am, could I please ask you to take this microphone? Is it okay if I ask you questions about this?
Sure.
First of all, who was the victim?
A cousin of mine.
How long ago?
This year will be 8 years.
And was it in Milwaukee?
Yes, it was.
Did your cousin, did they survive?
No.
They were killed?
Yes, along with his friend.
I'm sorry?
Along with him and his friend.
Him and his friend?
Yeah, it was a double homicide.
Did they catch the individuals that were involved?
No. They questioned a few people, but they never went to court or anything. It's kind of like they just never know who did it.
Okay, so the double homicide happened. Whoever did it left the scene. They never identified them.
No.
Were you ever interviewed as part of that investigation?
No.
Have your family, have they talked about how that's affected them and the rest of your family? Is that something that has come up?
We don't talk about it. It's like a sort of subject for our family as a whole, so we just don't really speak on it. Well, at least my immediate family don't.
Okay. And I'm sorry to bring this up, ma'am. Is there anything about that tragedy that's happened to you and your family that you think would affect you in listening to this case?
Honestly, no, given his lifestyle
Okay.
that he lived, it was kind of like, what do you expect when you're into drugs kind of thing? I hate to say that, but when you're in that lifestyle of being in the streets and selling drugs and things, that's, you're either going to go to jail or you're going to die. So although it was like hard for our family, it's kind of like you kind of, I don't want to say it this way, but you kind of put yourself in that predicament, like, the odds of being in the streets. So I just,
You can put it aside, whatever those feelings are, base your decision only on what the witnesses say in the evidence.
Definitely.
Thank you very much, juror number 6. Is there anyone else in the first row, 1 through 6? All right, I see juror number 3. Is that correct? Ma'am, if you could go to the microphone. Is it okay if I ask you questions about this?
Yes.
Okay. Who was the victim?
It was a basketball player that was known here. He played in a different country. He was killed at a gas station in one of his new cars.
And you knew him?
Yes. My husband ran a basketball league, and my stepson and all of his friends, they'd always be at the house. They'd stay the night, different things like that. So he was part of the family, actually.
Okay. I'm very sorry, ma'am. How long ago was it?
Maybe about, I'd say 10 years.
Okay. And you said it was not in Milwaukee, is that correct?
It was in Milwaukee.
Oh, it was in Milwaukee. He was from elsewhere, but it happened here.
Yeah, he lived here.
Okay.
His parents are from here, but he would travel out of the country to play on the basketball team.
I understand now.
He was a really great basketball player.
Did they catch the individual who did it?
No,
Is there anything about that that you think would affect you in listening to this case?
I don't think so.
Let me put it the best way I can, all right? Burden's on me, all right? I'm the state. I got to prove my case beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the law. It's nothing other than that. The only way I can do it is through the witnesses that take the stand. So let's say you're on this jury, and at the end of the day, I call every witness I can. I try as hard as I can. But when you go back there into the jury room, you're sitting there thinking, I just don't think the state proved it beyond a reasonable doubt. Would you be tempted in that situation to vote guilty when you have to vote not guilty? Because if I don't prove it and the facts don't support it, it's not guilty.
It's not right.
It's a long, fancy way of saying, are you going to base your decision not on this horrible tragedy you experienced, but only on the evidence and only on the witnesses?
Right.
We are our experiences. They can, kind of help us like look at things, but our decisions can't be based on those. They have to be based on the facts. Could you do that for us, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, juror number 3. Okay, anyone else in the front row? Okay, I see no one. Now in the next, which will be, I'm almost positive, should be 7 through 12. Okay, so it should be, are you juror number 9? Ma'am, if you could go to the microphone. Is it okay if I ask you questions about this?
Yes,
First of all, who was the victim?
my brother.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
He's alive.
He's alive, good. How long, so he was shot?
He was shot. This was about 17 to 20 years ago.
Okay. Was it in Milwaukee?
Yes.
Did the person that shot him, was he ever caught and charged?
Yes.
Did your brother have to testify?
This happened, a little background. My brother, I haven't talked to him in over 10 years. This happened in the courthouse. He was a bailiff and he got shot during a case.
I know exactly what case you're talking about. Is there anything about that experience that you think would affect you in listening to this case?
No.
And you're saying that the deputy sheriff that was shot in basically over in the safety building, if I'm not mistaken, he was your brother?
Yes.
Okay. Again, like everyone else, whatever the experience is, doesn't matter. Put it aside, base your decision only on the facts and the evidence. Could you do that?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, juror number 9. Anyone else in 9 through 12? I see no hands. In the next row, the third row there, anyone? Okay. In the fourth row, anyone? Family, friend, themselves been a victim of a homicide or a shooting? Okay, now back wall against the wall. Yes, sir, if you could come on down. Your juror number, sir?
27.
27. Sir, is it okay if I ask you some questions about this?
Yes.
First of all, who is the victim?
My cousin.
Did your cousin survive?
She did not.
Sorry, sir.
Thank you.
How long ago?
21 years ago.
Okay. Was it in Milwaukee?
No, it was not.
Okay. Where was it?
It was in the suburbs of Chicago.
Did they catch the individual involved?
It was a murder-suicide.
I'm very sorry, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anything about those facts, anything about that horrible tragedy you think would prevent you from being able to be fair in this case?
No, sir.
put it aside, base your decision only on the facts?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, juror number 27. Anyone else in the back row? Okay, I see two more hands. It looks like juror number 8, did you raise your hand? Oh. It's okay. You can come on up. If you think it's something that might be appropriate, just let me know. Is it okay if I ask you questions about it?
Sure.
Who was it?
It was my brother who was shot and killed.
I'm very sorry. Was it in Milwaukee?
It was in Milwaukee.
And how long ago?
It was in 2009.
And was anyone charged in the incident?
Well, he wasn't. He was killed. Took the life of his girlfriend, and police shot him and killed him.
I'm very sorry, man. I'm sorry to bring this up. Is there anything about that situation you think would affect you in listening to this case?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm very sorry, man. And I saw one more hand. Yes, sir, if you can come on down. Your number 16?
Yeah, I've had a cousin and another cousin's husband were both murdered by their sons. One was bludgeoning and the other one was stabbed and bludgeoned.
Is there anything about
one
that?
in Richfield and one in Milwaukee?
Okay. Anything about either one of those incidents would affect you in listening to this case?
No.
Thank you very much, juror number 16. Anyone else in the front of the room up against the wall here? I see no one. All right, now going to the back, I believe I saw one hand. Yes, ma'am, if you could come on down.
Hi, number 41.
Yes, can I ask you questions about this?
Yes.
First of all, who was it?
It was my father. He was on duty. He was a Milwaukee police officer. He was in a raid and he was shot at. He did ultimately get hurt, not by the not by the gunshot, by something else. He did survive, was taken to the hospital, but
The person that shot at them were they charged?
yes.
Okay. Did you or ever talk to your father about going to court or that experience?
Yes.
Did you go to court with him?
No, I was a kid. This was in the late 80s, but I do remember it.
That experience, like everyone else, it shaped you. It's part of who you are, but your decisions can't be based on that. Can you put that aside, base your decision only on the facts that come in through the stand?
If I'm going to be truthful,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure.
I'll put it to you the same.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to be honest.
Ma'am,
Let me jump in. I'm going to step in, Mr. Hubner. Don't apologize. Mr. Hubner wants you to be honest. The defense team wants you to be honest. I want you to be honest. If you don't think you can be fair and impartial for whatever reason, please tell us. That applies to everybody. It's nothing to apologize for. As just Mr. Hubner said, we have probably a dozen trials starting this week in Milwaukee, and if this case isn't right, it could be another case. We always want everybody to be honest and forthcoming.
Thank you very much. Again, what the court said, that is exactly what I want you to do, is to tell us. And I guess the point coming down to it is kind of like we talked with the other juror. Do you think that how you went, this horrible experience you went through, could affect you in terms of listening, in terms of a verdict, when the only thing your verdict can be based on is the facts and the witnesses? Do you think that could be a problem for you?
I understand what you're saying. I would hope I could do that, but I honestly don't know.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I don't have anything else for you. Now, I have,
Let me talk to the lawyer.
sure. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break here in a little bit. I have one more question for you. And I'm going to have more questions for you tomorrow. We're going to see each other again tomorrow. But ladies and gentlemen, if you're on this jury, starting basically now until you're no longer on this jury, you cannot talk to anybody about this jury. You cannot talk about what's happened. You can't read or look for anything that's on the news. And I just wanted to tell you, previously in this court, did a 2-week trial. And as we were getting ready towards the end of the 2 weeks, a juror went home and told her husband. The husband went home, went to a bar, and told the entire bar about the case. And it just so happened that the bartender was our court reporter. So we had to do that entire 2-week trial over again. What I'm saying here is there anybody here that feels that they just cannot help it, that they're going to look for something on this case, or they're going to need to talk to somebody about this case? They just do not think they could follow what the court's about to tell you, which is don't talk to anybody. When you see us, we're going to look like freshmen at a high school dance. We're going to ignore you and avoid you and walk against the hall, okay? Does anybody think they just will not be able to follow the court's order on that? Anybody? Okay, I see no hands. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's almost 5 o'clock. We are going to break for today. I'll give you some instructions, and my bailiffs will also give you some instructions as you're walking out. But we're going to continue voir dire, continue this process tomorrow morning. The story that Mr. Hubner just said is the truth. We had a trial. I was the judge in that case where we had spent tons and tons of time, many days in trial, and then a juror took it upon themselves, as I recall, herself, to go home and spout off to her husband. Her husband goes to the bar. He spouts off to the entire bar. The entire more than a week was wasted. I need all of you to promise me that you are not going to do any talking about this case. That means you don't go home and they say, so did you make it on a jury, or what kind of case is it, or who's the judge? That should not be discussed. You're also very, very importantly not to do any research on this case. That means you don't look up terms, you don't look up the names of the lawyers, you don't look up the defendant's name or my name, or Google anybody that could possibly be related to this case. Beyond that, I'm going to ask specifically, because there is some media attention on this case, that you not watch the news. If you want to watch the news, watch ESPN. They can preview for the next 4 or 5 days the Packer game. Please don't watch Channel 6, Channel 4, CBS 58. Please do not watch the news. Do something else for that half hour. Please follow that instruction. And the reason for that is, as Mr. Hubner said, and the defense would certainly agree with this, if you're chosen to be on this jury, if you're one of the 14 that will eventually be narrowed to 12, you need to keep an open mind, and you need to understand that the evidence is what's presented in court. It's what you hear from a witness on the witness stand. It's a document, it may be a photo, it's testimony. It's not something you look up on the internet. It's not something you see on TV. It's not something you hear from your spouse or your neighbor or the person down the hall in your apartment. So please keep an open mind. And in a sense, that means keeping a narrow focus. That means, again, no research, no looking up terms, no discussing this case, and no discussing it with anybody else, but also no discussing it with amongst yourselves. For instance, when you leave, I don't want you to go down the elevator and have a conversation of you know, who has the best hair, me or Mr. Hubner? Or me or Mr. Ahmad? That's the kind of thing we don't want to discuss, okay? Anything you can think of to discuss in this case, don't. Any way you can think to research something on Google, Facebook, your phone, your laptop, please don't. I've presided over at least 250, maybe 300 jury trials. I've only had a couple of problems with jurors, only 2 or 3 times of that 250 or 300. So I presume it's about a 1% chance. Let's not be that 1%. I'm going to break. I'm going to ask all of you to be back here. Where do you want to talk? Hang on a second. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I was just checking with my bailiffs and the rules from the Sheriff's Department and jury management. I'm going to ask that you come back tomorrow, that you're here no later than 8:30. You can come up here, come to the 5th floor. My bailiffs will escort you out. They'll show you where you need to go. Basically, you're going to be next door in room 501. You'll assemble there when all 50 of you are here. Please be here on time. I'm not anticipating any snow or problems like that. So as soon as you're all here, we'll continue with voir dire. Come up here, come to the 5th floor, go to room 501. When you're all here, you'll be brought in here and we'll finish voir dire. Find my bailiffs out. If you have any other questions, let either of my bailiffs know. They're both experienced. They can answer the questions. See you tomorrow. Everybody else can remain seated.
So we'll be back tomorrow. Probably go live at 8:30-ish and stream day 2 of the trial. So and there is an event like an hour from now. I gotta see if I'm gonna make that or not. So it's a protester group holding a rally surrounding this case. So I gotta see if I can get all my stuff ready and get there in time. So like I said, part 1 of today, I had to pull that video because it showed jurors. That wasn't anything done by us. That was done on the court live stream. So I'm going to go back and edit out those juror members, and then I'll re-upload that video so you guys can see the whole kind of discussion about the court's live stream showing 5 different jurors. That original 50-person jury panel was removed entirely, and they brought in all of this 50-person jury panel now. Otherwise, we probably would have gotten through the entire voir dire today.
Yeah, he's waiting right outside. Good, you just want to tell Deputy what's going on?
Yeah, I'll talk to them. All right, I had a conversation with the lawyers about a juror. I'll explain to the deputy how to handle it and what the lawyers and I discussed. It's 5 o'clock. I'm gonna ask the lawyers to be back 8:20, 8:30. Anything from either side before we break? All right, then we're adjourned for today. Thank you.
So yeah, make sure you guys are back here tomorrow. We'll be live a little after 8:30. We'll cover this case day 2. So I'll see you guys then. I'm waiting for a document to be sent to me, and then once that document is actually sent, I'm gonna have some breaking news for you guys that has not gotten any attention yet, and I don't know why. So as soon as that document gets to me, I'll let you guys know what that is. Other than that, I'll see you guys. I'm going to see if I can try to make this event in time. If not, then I'll just catch you guys tomorrow.